So I just wanted to take a minute or two to explain how I went from this to this. So if you've watched a few of my videos before, then you'll know that I'm really into riding my bike on rail trails. And a big part of the reason for that is because they're kind of pretty benign and very safe. There's no cars on there, they're nice and flat and they're straight, you can see for a long way ahead of you. The surface is normally pretty good, maybe a pothole here or there that you have to keep an eye out for, but there's very little to get you in trouble. And last summer I was riding on a lot of rail trails and I was documenting them with videos, and I have one more that I really wanted to do before the end of the year, and that was the Lake Erie Northern Rail Trail, which runs from Brantford down to Port Dover on Lake Erie. Now, I've lived in Canada for 25 years and I've actually travelled right across the country and all the way up to the Arctic, but I've never been to Lake Erie, which is only 2 hours from my house, so I really wanted to do this trail. Plus, I heard it's a beautiful trail. But as winter drew in and we had snow and it was getting icy and windy, I thought that my chances of doing that this year had gone. And then we had a break in the weather and we had a few days where it was sunny and the snow melted and the ice left the trails, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity to go and ride my bike on that one last trail and film it and put it out for you guys to see. So I packed my bike up 2 days ago and I put it in my car and I drove down to a place called Mount Pleasant, which is just a little bit down the trail, and I started riding on this amazing trail, and it was so safe. In fact, the first like 15 kilometers were actually asphalt and not gravel. So, you know, that was even safer. Very few people on it, very few road crossings, and whenever you did cross a road, there was no traffic on the roads. And then after about 18 kilometers, I came to one road crossing, and what I normally do after a road crossing is, you know, you have to go through a gate, so you slow down a bit, and then, you know, I normally get out of the seat and push on just to get my speed back up to 20-25 kilometers an hour. I didn't really need to go any faster than that. So I went through this one road crossing and then I kind of got out of the seat and tucked my head down and put in a few revolutions of the pedals just to get my speed up again. And I didn't realize, but the wintry weather we had been having had caused a tree to fall right across the trail, and it was a fairly decent sized tree, and it was about a foot off the ground. I looked up and I didn't even have time to say shit. I had time to say maybe SHI, but not the full word, because the tree was right there, and I managed to pull the front wheel up and get that over the tree, but I don't know how to bunny hop. It's one thing that I would love to be able to do because it looks so cool, but I don't know how to bunny hop, so I couldn't get that back wheel up. The back wheel hit the tree and the bike flipped and it came straight down on its handlebars. Now, in a crash like that, people are often injuring collarbones or wrists or elbows. My arms were absolutely fine, but that's because I didn't put them out to break my fall. Instead, I used my face. And there I was, scrabbling around in front of the bike. The bike was a couple of feet behind me, and I'm scrabbling around on all fours because I'd lost my glasses. My glasses had smashed. There was a lens over here, the frames were over there. I was scrabbling around to pick them up. I was feeling like a complete idiot. And I started to notice bloop, bloop, big drops of blood on the floor, and I thought, oh god, this is probably a lot worse than I had at first thought. So I got those bits and pieces, and there was a bench there, so I went over to the bench, put everything down, rested my bike up against the bench and got my phone out, put it on selfie mode, and I looked at my face and I was like, oh boy, the entire face was covered in blood. So stupidly I didn't take a photograph of that. I immediately kind of panicked because I wanted to know what was specifically wrong. So I poured water from my water bottles over my face, cleaned my face off a bit, and I started feeling down my face, and I'm like, okay, well this is pretty minor, it's all pretty minor, okay, that's good. And then I got to my chin, and there was a big flap of skin just hanging down, and it was a thick flap as well. I knew it wasn't just something that would, you know, like a surface layer that would come off and heal by itself. So that's when I thought, oh boy, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. So I then did kind of an inventory of myself, and I thought, well, I remember the whole thing. I didn't lose consciousness one bit. I don't think I really banged my head. I banged my face. My helmet didn't have any signs of damage on it. I wasn't dizzy, I wasn't nauseous, I wasn't confused, so I thought, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not concussed. I'm positive I'm not concussed. So I think as long as my bike's working, I should be able to cycle back the 18 kilometers to my car. So I put my balaclava on, I pulled it up to hold my chin in place. Anyway, I got on my bike and I started riding back towards my car, and I had my my heart rate strap on, so I could see that my heart rate was 140 beats a minute, which was a little bit high for just the riding I was doing. But considering my adrenaline was probably pumping, I was okay with it being 140, but I thought, you know, on the ride back, I'll get it to come down. And it stayed at 140 for a long while, but eventually it started to drop and drop and drop, and eventually I got it right down to 111. So I was okay, I knew I wasn't going into shock or anything like that, and had my heart rate sort of started going up, I would have then stopped and, you know, got on my phone and called for some help. Then when I got back to my car, I had to make all those decisions again, because it's like, well, now I intend to drive an hour and a half back to my area so that I can go to the hospital that's local to me. And so I was like thinking, you know, okay, am I okay to drive? Did I go unconscious? And I started doing that inventory again, and I thought, well, I'm perfectly fine, you know, like if it wasn't for this flap on my chin, I probably wouldn't even be going to hospital, so I'm okay to drive. And I actually was perfectly fine driving back. Then I went to the hospital, and I went to the Vaughan Hospital, which, if you're going to be an idiot like me and do something like this to your face, and if you live in this area, totally recommend that hospital. It's amazing. I was seen really, really quickly. The doctor checked me out. He asked all those same questions and said, no, you're not concussed. So we kind of agreed on that. Then he cleaned out my wound and he sewed it up. And I was sent for an x-ray of my hand, because I banged my hand a little bit, and that turned out to be nothing. And also my chest, just in case my chest had hit the handlebars, although, you know, when I was thinking about it, I was sort of like, I couldn't see mechanically how my chest could have hit the handlebars. What I do think happened is, I think that I hit the ground and my body sort of bent the wrong way as I hit the ground with my face, and it gave me a little bit of whiplash in my neck and right between my shoulder blades, and also a little bit sort of here. So, but apart from that, you know, like no other issues. So that was 2 days ago. I feel absolutely fine. I've got the injuries look way worse than they actually feel, and way worse than they are. So when all was said and done, I kind of had to reflect and think to myself, does this really change my view of cycling? I cycle by myself almost exclusively, and I'm often cycling on these rail trails, but I have to look at this accident and say it was just an absolute fluke, and me going out and cycling on rail trails in the future is not going to be any more dangerous than almost any other activity that you could name. I'm probably just going to now subconsciously even keep my head up more as I'm going through those road crossings, but apart from that, no. And I think the important thing is as soon as possible, and the weather is not fantastic at the moment, but as soon as it's decent enough, is to get back out on the bike again outside. I feel as though I have no anxiety over it, but I don't want to let it kind of linger and let it fester for too long before I get out on the bike and kind of like, you know, get my confidence back. Hi, just a quick update. It appears I was wrong, because when I went to check my helmet, which is the Lazer Blade, I love this helmet because it's so comfortable, I realised that I was wrong. I had actually hit right on the front of the helmet, and if you can see, and hopefully it'll be in focus, you can see scrapes here from where it's gone rubbing along the ground, and then if you look under here, it's beginning to gap here, and there's a crack right down here. And I think it's amazing testament to this helmet that I didn't even realise I'd hit my head. But yeah, this helmet gets a huge big thumbs up, which reminds me, please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, hit the bell icon so you're notified of any upcoming videos, and I will see you with a new helmet on the next ride.